my acne just went crazy. But it started getting really bad, and I had heard about you before. Everything's holistic, and something too, I think that's a big benefit that I didn't realize until later is I think because you guys don't have your own products, you're recommending other products that are catered the best for that person.
When you do a journey like you have done the Clear Skin journey, you know it's not finished, fair?
Oh yeah.
This is a lifelong journey.
Oh, a lifelong. I'll never be the same in the best way.
Right. And you do you want to go back, right?
Absolutely not. I don't know. Just like put me in the right mindset of like, I'm so grateful. It's just so crazy the perspective it brings. Is my skin perfect? No. But I'm just so thankful like that at the root of my heart, what I feel is gratitude. I'm just grateful that it is what it is now versus what it was.
We're back with another episode of A Client Journey. And today we have I actually have to put that in front of your name, Fayth, the Fayth Glock. And why I say that is because by the end of this podcast, if you don't understand why she got the in front of her name, then we did not do her justice. So welcome, Fayth. Thanks for coming and hanging with us. Fayth is always like on point and on game. So you know, you volunteered to come to the podcast because you said, I have a message I want to get out.
For sure.
So that's why you're here. And everybody that wants to come on wants to get a message across. So let's hop into it because I want to start with like a doozy.
Yes, such an honor to be here. Seriously.
Yay. These are my favorite episodes to record is when we get to have our clients on because it's such a powerful share because there's so many women like you, Fayth, who are struggling how you've struggled, who have had this journey, and to hear from somebody else like, hey, me too, this has also happened to me.
It makes it real.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm. And we want to bring it back to like when you came into the Clear Skin solution, right? Sure. You know, when you were coming into the Clear Skin solution, what did you know about your health outside of acne? Because we knew you're here, you have acne, but what outside of that?
For sure. So I can kind of just give context because I think it's so helpful. And I think that's something you learn through this journey is everybody's story is just completely different. And I think that's so important to remember all the time because everything impacts everything, right? So it's going to look different. But just to give some history too, is I've always been a very like active, from my perspective, healthy person. You know, like I thought, or at least I thought so. Obviously there was more going on internally I didn't know. But, you know, I was a collegiate athlete, always super active, you know, and I had some typical in high school, a little bit of acne, then the classic, your mom takes you to a dermatologist, you get the cream that was probably absolutely terrible for me, which we didn't know, obviously, bless her, she didn't know. And then, of course, you know, all the antibiotics and the pills and all those things. And then kind of got into college. It really wasn't a problem in college. I mean, I'm sure my skin was probably never perfect, but nothing that like looking back, nothing that like really bothered me a ton or anything. It's interesting because again, you just never expect this. Like it wasn't until adulthood, you know, graduating college, going into my first job. I was getting my master's is more so when it started becoming like this consistent problem. So again, for your question, health-wise, I thought I was healthy. Like, you know, I worked out. From my perspective, we'll get into that, thought I was eating pretty good. But again, I could go on it now in hindsight, I can see, oh my goodness, like not getting enough sleep and skipping meals. And again, we'll get into all of that, of all this, the simple things that matter so much in your day to day. But to your point, I really didn't know anything and I didn't notice anything. I thought I was fine. I didn't really know. I always saw acne as like a topical problem, which, oh my gosh, my passion I love your phrase of like, it's an external problem or an external problem, but internal issue. I just was never taught that, didn't know it. So, you know, of course, I'm trying all the things, the creams, the dermatologists, the pills. Thankfully, I never went on birth control, which I'm really grateful for. But still, I still got a lot of stuff that wasn't not good for me. So it really didn't get to a point of, you know, realizing there was more of a problem until even just, I mean, it was probably at this point, I guess it was March of 2024. And I was getting like really weird fatigue. It was like 3 p.m. And I was just, you know, I work remote, I'm doing my job. And I mean, I felt like a grandpa. All of a sudden, I was like, I have to sleep, like a weird, like I must sleep, you know, it's very abnormal. I'm not a napper at all. And so it was weird. I would like lay my head back and like just fall asleep and set a timer for like 5, 10, 15 minutes. And I was like, this is not normal. You know, that was the first thing. And I've always had irregular cycles too. So that's something I've always like, I thought maybe like I was so active that I thought, oh, once I'm not a collegiate athlete anymore, maybe it will regulate. You know, people say that, and it never did. So that's always been something that I was not concerned about, but just like hoping for a regular cycle and all of that. And so my mom, bless her heart, so grateful. She was like, you know, why don't you go? She had gone to this integrative medicine doctor, you know, holistic, natural. She's like, why don't you just go, maybe get some testing? Because that might just be good in general. And again, I didn't see a need for it except for that fatigue. I was like, yeah, something does seem to be a little off. So, you know, let's just do it. And I had benefits for work that could cover it. So I went ahead and did it. So I went, so sorry, it's a long story, but I went, and again, thinking I'm fine. And oh my goodness, this blood test, this GI test comes back, and there's a whole long list. It was frankly just completely out of balance, like no homeostasis at all. And I had no idea. And again, we were talking earlier before the podcast started, you just don't know what you don't know. And even I'll go into what I had, but the doctor was like, you know, Fayth, I think you don't know how good you could feel because you don't know the difference. And I feel like that nails it on the head. I think too, I have a pretty high pain tolerance. I'm pretty tough, if you will. Like I would just never like notice or think anything was wrong. But with that, one of the worst things that we discovered I have, which with like my nurse friends were like, what? That I had C. diff. I know a lot of people probably don't know what that is, but not good. Super high level of it, toxin, and you know, there's no TMI when it comes to the clear skin.
There's no TMI. We love a good TMI.
Oh yeah, but they basically said, they're like, are you not having just like super explosive diarrhea? And thankfully I wasn't, and I'm very grateful for that, because I felt okay, you know, from my perspective. So I had that, and then the list goes on. I had a ton of bacteria, H. pylori, you know, a ton of yeast overgrowth. They told me like, you have the works. I'm like, yeah. And they basically said, again, this is in summary, you know, that you're not digesting, you know, correctly. And that made honestly so much sense to me, because I felt like I was eating well, but like not reaping the benefits, if you will. And I know I love what you guys say. It's like, you're not are what you eat, you are what you digest. And that's what I learned, is like, I'm not digesting properly. So my gut just completely out of whack, all of those things. So I didn't know any of that, you know, until I got tested. And that's why I always encourage testing. Now, test, don't guess, you know, because you just don't know what you don't know. So I think that gives kind of the story, you know. Yeah. So anyway, so I did that with her. And just to give context, really, looking back, it was during that process. So all natural, so thankful. And I'm very thankful that the doctor I was working with was very aligned with the CSS program. And I'm so thankful for that, because I think it set me up really well. The diet shifting, everything was very similar. So I went into all of that, you know, getting the correct supplements, and not a bunch, you know, we talked earlier, not too many, just the right ones. And started feeling great. It was not trying to lose weight at all. And I ended up losing a lot of weight I didn't even know I had to lose, which was crazy, and feeling really good. But I'm sure we'll get into this. But that is when my acne just went crazy. I mean, I don't even know. Again, we'll get into all of that and just inflammation and all the things. But it started getting really bad. And I had heard about you before. And I had also, too, just for context, my first taste of kind of the holistic world when it comes to, you know, with acne, was through a lady out of New Jersey, and she was great, but not enough one-on-one, like working through the process. And she was kind of my first taste. So I worked with her. I still think it band-aided it, because it was mainly product-based, external-based, with a little bit of internal work. So I had tasted this holistic world and so I think it was through her that I found out about you guys. Never thought I would need to do it, you know, necessarily, but I'm like, I think this might be something I need. So then, yeah, we'll get into that. Kind of gives you the context, but that really, it got worse before it got better, is the context. Once I started releasing all that inflammation and going through the process is when it really honestly got the worst. But yes, just part of the journey. I think that was a very long answer to your question, but
that was no, you were so thorough. I'm like, she has answered all the things we want to know. You've shared it all.
Summary,
and I love that for you. I think really the theme of this is it can get worse before it gets better. And I think this is what's so powerful about your story is day and age we live in. Everyone expects their skin to go from A to B, linear, no issues along the way. And that's not always the case. It's not often the case. So if you haven't seen Fayth's pictures, you can go onto our website, just type in Fayth's name, name and it'll pop up, because I think it's so important for you to see the journey that she had to understand this concept. Because what happens with so many people is they start making these changes and their skin, whether it becomes symptomatic, whether it flares, whether it starts releasing, but it gets worse and people panic and they're like, oh my God, I did something wrong. Stop what I'm doing, go back to the beginning. And then you end up ping-ponging between the start and the symptoms arising, and you never break through to the other side.
Exactly. And I think you guys have helped give me so much language, and it's so powerful just to have the language. And the healing crisis makes me laugh because I think it is the perfect term. You are healing, but you literally feel like it's a crisis.
100%.
Exactly how I felt. Exactly how I felt.
Mm-hmm. So when we look at, just for context for everybody, again, go through the pictures, but Fayth came in with some acne to some people, because Jen and I, your coach, we sat behind the screen and we said, okay, how the heck is she asymptomatic? You had fatigue at this point. That's about it, right? You had done copious amounts of work with another practitioner. You came in to the point where we were comfortable to elevate your protocol instantly, right? You weren't coming in with all the pantry swaps and stuff. You had done vigorous amount of work. So here's just something to consider. And I don't know if Jen has talked to you about this, but when I go through your file and I see C. diff in like 2024 as an example, pre this ACL construction, knee, we had like meniscus surgery, we had another ACL. So 13, 16, 17, 19 of 2000s, we had surgery. Where does C. diff come from the most? Hospitals. So yeah, I just looked at this now. Like I legit just looked at that. I'm like, it's got to be something. The C. diff has to be somewhere. It's not just the only case for everybody, but that is a big proponent of C. diff. So you could have been technically carrying that infection that long. So you don't know when you brought it up, because we don't know when you contracted, right? And then we go do a couple rounds of antibiotics, maybe some spironolactone, because of course that is everybody's, this fixed my acne. Okay, well, less than 2% of any client that we've worked with. I promise you, right? Fast forward, you start working with the person in Jersey, we get into the integrative practitioner, boom, this result is catastrophic in the sense of, I like to use the Western word, and you can correct me if you don't like it, riddled. Like high levels of C. diff, like you said, H. pylori, that's a virus in the stomach for everybody. So of course digestion was off. If you don't have digestion way up in the stomach, then yeast, bacteria, insufficient vitamins like B and D, and you were registering everything. So this tells me you had this for a while. And when I see your file, I'm like, oh, I like, right? I mean, I don't like it, but I like when it works out.
Chris gets excited. Chris gets excited when she sees these things.
Because you can see the path, to see the path.
Right. So, okay. So you come in, you're marginal acne, right? Mm-hmm. And we hop on an AMA one time and Fayth has a question and she says, Chris, what is going on? Help me through this. Help me through this.
SOS.
And I said, okay, well, Jenna was surprised you're asymptomatic. Your other practitioner was surprised.
Let's back up. Please explain to everybody what asymptomatic is if they don't know.
It means not showing signs and symptoms. Asymptomatic is for the level of metabolic chaos, I'm going to call it, that Fayth had inside her body. We should have had way more than fatigue. We probably should. We could have felt like we going in and out of flu, sniffing, sneezing, itching, but way.
She should have felt like garbage, like absolute garbage,
like absolute garbage. Like
I said, they're like, "Aren't you?
Dying? Aren't you dying on the inside?"
Yeah. So you were really asymptomatic, and then you came and you're like, Chris, what's going on? And that's probably the first time I ever saw that vulnerability a little bit, because you come on with such confidence, probably a lot of the sports too, right? Such confidence, such conviction. And I mean, your name is actually perfect because with such faith, right? And I said, oh my gosh. I said, we just went from asymptomatic to symptomatic. Now we're in. And do you remember that conversation?
Oh, it was like, again, the language, even to be able, I'm like, yes. It was like the first time like this makes sense. And it was just so encouraging.
Did everybody hear that? This is the pinnacle I wanted to bring up to everybody.
A gold star for this.
Like this is definitely a gold star because everybody, did you hear this? I just said, this is now symptomatic. And her face went minor to almost a solid color of purple from the cheekbone down into the neck on both sides. It was sore. It hurt. It was red. There was no circulation. You're going to have kids, like no issues with that pain tolerance, right? These types of things. And then she just says, it made so much sense. And she was liberated by that statement because she's like, I've been waiting for this. Of course, we don't want it to come to the skin like this, but everything inside the body is so congested, so riddled. There's blockages everywhere, right? Whether it's the pathogens, the biofilms, whatever it is, they've made a beautiful, not only buffet, but you've housed them, you're feeding them, like you're working the lights. Like I'm not moving out at this point either. So we had such a beautiful culture. And then you liberated that statement. Instead of being horrified, you're like, I've been waiting for this. So that's a gold star, 100%.
Yeah, no, I'm so grateful because it just made sense. It's the first time I'm like, this makes sense. And I think once you can identify, it creates the path to healing. And that in itself, like just to know is just huge.
And I really want to highlight here, Fayth, your mindset through this, because I remember looking through these photos with Chris and being like, how was her mindset going through this? Because to the average client that we've worked with, this is where panic sets in. This is where they're like, oh my God, what's something's wrong. Oh my gosh, this isn't working. I need to stop. Things are getting worse. And this is where that those low key panic attacks start to come from. But Chris was like, no, her mindset was actually really great. So I'm so curious, Fayth, is what allowed you to have that mindset to stay? I'm sure you had your moments of like, OMG, like WTF, but you kept going. So what was that mindset that you had there?
Man, that's a great question. And it's interesting too in hindsight and like even talking to like friends and family that were like in the journey. I could get emotional about it because like that's the thing I just want people like it's tough. You know what I mean? And I'm really grateful looking back because again, it's easier in hindsight, but I just want to be honest, even for people listening, like and I think there's a power in just like saying for what it was terrible. And that's the thing too. I think that's what's so hard with acne because it has this stigma and it's associated with adolescence and it's your face and like it's your face. You know what I mean? So when you're trying to just do your daily things and calls and meetings, like it's such a mental thing. It's a physical thing and it's just so tough. And for me too, when I had never experienced this before, first off, I had never gotten it on my neck. I never had gotten really like that cystic and I was in pain. Again, back to that high pain tolerance. If I'm in pain, I was icing it. It was awful. It was burning. It was just the most wild. And I knew it would be temporary. I'm like, this is crazy. This has never happened to me before. So I just want to paint the picture of like, it was really bad. And I can like look back and be like, that period was so difficult for me. And even too, like I started dating my now fiance. And so like even the timing of that, I'm like, I'm a believer, like just to the Lord, just being like, God, like why the timing? You know what I mean? Just everything. But honestly too, I think even how incredible he was, like, again, everything is perspective, obviously, and obviously that's a daily battle, but man, even just like the way he treated me, he was with me like in the worst of it. I get to make me cry just thinking about it.
I'm like, he's a keeper.
We're getting married in May.
Yeah, you're getting married, so we're keeping him for sure.
Oh my gosh, he was just so incredible. And that was just people, like it was just, it makes me cry because I'm really grateful for him.
It's the support system, right? Is like when you're going through something so hard, you realize like you're so lucky to have the support system that you have because without them, you like can very easily succumb to your own thoughts.
Yes, it's so true. And I think too, to Chris's standpoint too, like, and that what meant the world to me. She said that in a different time too about like faith and surrender. I really do like, if it weren't like for me personally, like my faith in the Lord and just like my community and all the things, like I don't really, you know what I mean? Like I think if otherwise I could have been like, frankly, like on the verge of like feeling some of those like depressed type feelings, like not wanting, again, just being real, like not wanting to wake up, like not wanting to go places. Like I didn't even want to go on Zoom at one point, like for my job, So again, I just want to paint that picture of like, for anybody, it's not easy. And like, just to like, feel very like it's okay to just like acknowledge it for what it is and just to be real about it. And I think that too, honestly, helps to cope, to be straight up about how difficult it is and how you're actually struggling, rather than, I think the biggest thing I would just encourage people is to really be aware of isolation. Because I know that was my temptation, was to isolate, not go anywhere, not talk about it. And I think, not that I did it perfectly, but trying my best to keep living life, keep doing things that I enjoy. I would say too, what helped you guys were incredible. Ashley, for those that don't know, who's their esthetician. Oh my goodness. I sing Ashley's praises. Like, I was literally going on every week, to get her help. And oh my goodness. And even her, she would like tell me what I needed to do and be like, hey, but don't stress about it. Like, even just the way that you guys, it's just healthy. You know what I mean? The way that you guys encourage and your advice. And I think in this culture, everything's so extreme, right? But like, just going back to this simplicity of rest and spending time with loved ones and just all of those things. Again, I could keep going on and on. I think those are the things that kept me, during that time. So it wasn't easy, but I think I recognized, again, back to the path, I recognized and I knew, even though externally it felt like the worst thing ever, I knew it was good. Does that make sense? Like, I knew within me, I'm like, I know that this is good. And I have you guys to back me up to verify that it is good. If that was just happening with no support, it would be like, you know what I mean? But I knew that it wouldn't be forever. And even Ashley said that. She's like, your skin will not be this way forever. So the hope of knowing, I knew I was on the path. And also too, I would say outside of that, it was impacting my health in so many ways. And that was and you guys say that a lot. What are the other wins? So many wins. How I felt, the fatigue was gone. I lost 30 pounds. I didn't even know I had 30 pounds to lose. And I feel incredible, but in a healthy, strong way. So I think that also really carried my mindset of seeing how much it was benefiting my life outside of just the external, if that makes sense. And I knew the external would eventually come.
Just even coming out of the fatigue, getting through your day, your energy. Like, if I go look at your very last progress report, I'll share it, but they can't, and nobody can see it. Less cystic acne, no more painful acne, less inflammation, breakouts are less often. See how we said less often? So Fayth, like, you're coming in your 6 months. Yeah. In 6 months, going from high levels into fully symptomatic, into massive pain, depressive like skin conditions, like, you know what I mean? If I had to put an association with it.
Accurate. Yep.
The fact that you're like, I have less of everything is a grateful. It doesn't mean I'm not going to have stuff. In 6 months, you were able to really plow. Of course, you have Jenna, who's like our little internal geek, right? So all those questions that you had for education and everything were appeased. We have Ashley on the other side, right? And of course, we have all the calls in the world that you can come and just share everything, replays, these types of things. So I get that you have the community. So the mindset, just piece that I want to click in here is that when you want to hide, that is your comfort. That is what you've built. That is your security. Little children want their blankie or their mamas or whatever it is, because that's their security. Now, what happens when we take the blanket or the mamas or the stuffed animal or the pacifier away? We have to retrain. We don't just give it back in and give in and stuff. We don't say, okay, well, that's too bad, right? We nestle a plan, we execute the plan, and it tries our patience. At the end of the day, I don't know about you guys, but I don't have a pacifier. So something works when we execute plans, when we are committed to the plan, and when we trust the plan. Because when you trust the plan, your brain is less likely to be done this pathway, in this pathway, in this pathway. So I appreciate that you were thanking your acne and really understanding, because I mean, who wants to thank acne? Nobody in life. But you were thanking your acne, you were thanking your journey, you were thanking your support system, you were diving deep into that faith, and you were just making it happen. And you didn't revert back to comfort because you knew comfort got you where you were. That's just something I just went, okay, fine, 2 gold stars. What are we saying? Well, I mean, I might run out of stars, Fayth. We can't have another client journey for at least solid month because I've got to collect them from Katie, and that's hard. So can you just explain everything you did prior to everything we did inside the Clear Skin Solution? What was different in the program and the path?
With the nurse practitioner, she was amazing, had great experience, but I realized just in the journey as my skin was getting worse, and And then she also thought it was a good sign, you know, in a sense, but I just recognized I needed somebody that was skin specific. And obviously, and again, that's what I am so thankful for you guys. Cause it honestly, like, I'm just thankful this exists because I didn't know anything like this does exist. Cause the last thing, no offense to dermatologists, never in a million years again would I go there after all that experience, you know? So I knew that I was on the right path. I'm like, I just need someone with the expertise specifically in skin, you know? And obviously I was learning everything about my gut. And as I looked more at you guys, I was like, oh my goodness, like this seems like everything that I need. And it absolutely has been. And I'm so grateful for that. So then obviously like getting into the program, what was different, I think probably one of the number one things for me that's different from any other health, medical, nutrition experience is the support. You know, and as simple as that sounds, but the access that we have to for those that don't know, you have your coach, the fact that I can literally message her any day. And I'm just a very, as you know, verbal processy affirmation I thrive in, just to be able to like have the affirmation, to know that you're doing the right things, to ask the questions. I think another thing for me that has just been a huge blessing is it's just so simple. It's complex, right? But you've made it so simple and just frankly sustainable to follow. You know, and I geek out because I work in the content world, marketing world. I'm a creative director at a nonprofit. And so when I saw even just like, I geek out about content, your platform, the way things are organized. I mean, so organized, easy to follow, just about enough information, but not too much information. It's so doable, you know, even to get through, you know, the reading part, if you will, and all of that. It's just so doable and so doable to go back. Oh, the recipes. I could go off like, and again, it's so realistic. Like, and it kind of depends. If you love cooking and want to do something a little fancier, you guys have that kind of stuff, but you also have the simplest of the simple. So it's just so doable, you know, so easy to follow. The protocols, like I just geek out about that stuff. Like when I got the first protocol from Jenna and how organized it was, and I just love getting all organized and like writing my supplement schedule and all of that. Like it's just, it sets you up so incredibly well and takes a lot of the guessing work out of it. You don't have to guess. You know exactly what you need to do. You have the support throughout the process. You have the nutrition. You have the mindset. You have Ashley for the specific skincare questions. And like, oh my goodness, talk about saving money. The amount of money, and we all know that. I've heard you guys talk about the journey of how much money you spend on skincare products. The fact that I can go to her and say, what should I do? And the fact that everything's holistic. So I could keep, my brain is thinking of like 7 thoughts at the same time. Everything's holistic. And something too, I think that's a big benefit that I didn't realize until later is I think because you guys don't have your own products, it never feels like this businessy. I've had those experiences before because people have their own products and trying to sell them. You're recommending other products that are catered the best for that person, you know? And I love that you guys, you know what I mean? It's just so, yeah. And I think too, just the genuine care, the genuine interest, the way that you guys communicate, you know, I could go off for a long time.
Fayth, you've made my week after this.
Yeah,
like you've made my week.
Like, it really is. And I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. Like it really is a life-changing experience in a world, like frankly, notice the healthcare nutrition world is just very messy. And this just like, yeah, it's just clear and it's real and it's authentic.
I'm obsessed with everything you just said. I like that almost made me cry. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, your work is paid off.
She appreciates the organization.
Oh, I do. I totally do.
I feel like you're a good organization nerd like I am. And like organization like makes me happy. My husband's like, he knows like if he wants to get some attention from me, he'll organize something for me.
Yes. So I'm just super grateful. To the point, like I know that this is, you know, the point is the skin clearing, but really it's so much more than that. It's homeostasis. It's, oh my goodness, we didn't even talk about my period has regulated. And I'm so thankful because not in a million years am I going on a, you know, hormonal birth control or anything like that, like going a more natural route. But again, your cycle is a big piece of that. So I was nervous, like getting engaged, like, is it going to, you know, am I going to be regulated by then? And it is. Like that in itself, I'm like, this is crazy, people. And that was purely based on food, the right supplements, and just living life well and wellness.
And a normal period is so evasive for so many women, and they don't realize, like, just because it's so common to have irregular periods and painful periods, we think, oh no, it's just like, that's just how it is. When in fact, that's another sign from the body that if my cycle isn't the way it should be, there's something off inside. And when you get it, because you hadn't had your cycle regular for years. I'm just so excited for you because for when women get their periods regular and it just
so empowering.
It's so empowering.
It's so empowering. And that's what I was going to say. I went on a tangent, but like, I said, so since it's like skin specific, but it's so much more than that. Like I want my friends that have perfectly clear skin, but I see them having bloating issues and, you know, other issues, thyroid issues, whatever issues. I'm like, man, I want like people like could do the program. It would be so good for so many people that it's not even, you know what I mean? Obviously the skin is the benefit for the people that are struggling with that, but I think it would benefit anyone, period. Like I want it to be available to like literally anyone
on the face of the earth.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Faith doesn't want me to sleep. Faith does not want me to sleep.
Chris is starting to hyperventilate. She's like, Faith, stop talking. Katie's going to start doing this.
Like, we're not adding to cart. Okay, Faith? Like,
and I am thinking like, okay, well, we could repackage this.
Yeah. It's so funny because now, like, again, like you said, we deem these things as normal. And I'm become so passionate, like that they are not normal. Like if I hear a friend being like, I'm bloated all the time, I'm like, that's not normal. You should not be bloated all the time. We're just like accepting it like it's normal. It's not. Your body was never designed to just bloat for no reason. You know what I mean? Like just those kind of things. Or I have headaches all the time or periods. I'm like, there's a reason. Like, you know what I mean? Like there is a reason that this is happening and you don't have to accept it for what it is, you know?
Faith might have to be our new mascot. Like,
yeah,
you have to
hire me. Yeah, we're gonna have to hire her.
Just like
bring your creative directing, marketing over here.
Like she's gonna have to be like the holistic advocate or something. Because, however, once you start going through the journey, because Katie and I did this too, we weren't well. Something wasn't right. We didn't want to accept the word. This is all you can do. Labs are normal. Like we've been there. So when we speak the language on the podcast or we speak the language in the program or we speak the language on the blogs or the reels or whatever it is that's been delivering, I promise you we felt it. I might not have felt ever, like I've had back pain like twice, like severe. And I was like, how do you do this? Like, I can't do that. Like Katie. And then she gets predisposed, has a certain pain tolerance.
I'm in pain all day, every day. So I just have a high pain tolerance.
Yeah. Right. So we function, but it's not normal. So she did something recently. Right. So we're constantly when you do a journey, like you have done the Clear Skin journey, you know, it's not finished. Fair?
Oh yeah.
This is a lifelong journey.
Oh, a lifelong. I'll never be the same in the best way.
Right. Best way. And do you want to go back, right?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Why? Because once you start balancing the minerals, this is why we love that hair mineral, right? Like you might have heard about it. So once you start balancing the minerals, the body doesn't have to be so angry. And I just want to preface this for everybody. We did not ever once touch face hormones, sex hormones, menses through a protocol or direct supplementation. Her body regulated this itself. This is why we have the pillars. This is why hormones aren't first. This is why sometimes we gasp when people are taking Vitex or Black Cohosh, DIM, whatever. And I will say, let's give kudos to everybody. The recent files coming in, a lot less DIM. So I don't know if everyone's listening to the podcast. They must be listening to the podcast. Or hanging with us, but kudos to all you ladies.
No one's on DIM anymore.
No one's on DIM.
And like, we don't want to hate on DIM because in the right situation, it is a really 100%. Great option. Yeah, exactly. But it's not a Band-Aid. Like for years, I'm like, every single acne sufferer is taking DIM.
Mm-hmm. Fast forward 6 months. All of a sudden, we start to get a little more acne again. It's not going away as fast. You have continual access, at least to the program content, these types of things. But what are we doing? Just walk me through right now. And this is what I'm saying. I'm putting you on the spot because you're going to go there. You have sustainability. You've talked the talk. You've walked the walk. You're like, I know it. What are you going to do at that point? What's the first things you're going to do?
Well, like you guys say, knowledge is power, right? You know what I mean? It's just the empowerment of knowing where to go. I mean, and that's the thing. And the first thing I think of is, what am I eating? You know, do I need to adjust my diet at all? Because like right now I've gone like gluten-free, sugar-free, obviously all preservative-free, all the frees, and I love it. That's the thing. Like I don't see it as, I think it's great. But that would be one of my first thing. Am I eating any inflammatory foods? You know, just am I skipping meals? I think I would look first things first, I would look all at food. What am I consuming? Am I drinking enough water? Am I consuming too much caffeine? Do I need to make any adjustments there? Again, obviously it different stories, different journeys, but food is everything. I mean, you know, food is medicine. I think it's just crazy how much it's impacted my life. And I thought I ate healthy before, but there's a different level of healthy. I think too, something I was thinking about, our culture is so incredibly unbalanced that it makes eating healthy look extreme, but it's actually not. The extreme is what our culture is doing. We look extreme just because everybody's is so unbalanced.
You have to use this as an Instagram post. That was said so well.
Please do it. Please do it.
That's so true. That's the extreme when this should be the norm.
This is the norm. Exactly. It's not extreme actually at all, in my opinion. It just looks extreme to the masses.
It becomes the power of numbers, right?
Oh,
if we have more numbers doing this, it drives more businesses like that, which produces more jobs based on XYZ. And now we have we know this, we have a whole industry to the downfall of health.
Oh, I've gotten so passionate. We have sacrificed health for convenience. I believe in every area, just straight up. Everything is convenience is promoted rather than actual real health and healing. Yeah. So food, that would be like the first thing I would look at. And then I would look at, obviously some of the external things, like, am I being consistent with my skincare routine? Am I stressed? Again, I've learned a ton. The sleeping, again, it's just, you don't know what you don't know. And looking back, I'm like, oh, my sleep, I was not getting enough sleep. Again, all of it is medicine. Sleep is medicine. Same thing. Am I moving my body? Am I doing stress, relieving practices? Are there any events in my life right now that maybe piqued my stress? You know what I mean? And I know that, things will calm down. So I think those are some of the main things that I would do initially.
Exactly. And that's why I put you on the spot. And thank you for playing along, because everybody listening, Fayth just went through her journey inside the Clear Skin Solution. And if that did not sound sustainable, that is what sustainability is when I put you on the spot, is how are you going to correct this? What are you going to do? Right? We've had clients come back and said, hey, you know what? It's been a year and I'm way off kilter and I just want some accountability, right? That accountability is huge.
As an athlete, you know how important accountability is.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It still depends on personality types, because I feel like for some people leaving the program is probably pretty hard. But I feel very, very, and also it's a personality thing. I'm pretty self-motivated. I feel very, very equipped to do it on my own. Even it was weird the day that I no longer was doing food logs. I was like, I actually sent message Paige because I didn't see the message. I'm like, my thing is gone. She's like, you've graduated, but that was so, just the process, I feel like sets you up so well to be, self-sustainable for sure.
Now I have an exciting question for you, Fayth, because at the end of this entire journey, so you joined us about 6 months ago, we know to the day, but you're getting married in a few weeks. Talk to me about how your mindset was around that idea of, hey, my wedding's coming up, because we have so many of our clients come in. They're like, hey, I'm getting married next year. Just a heads up.
Help me kind of thing. I started this whole journey before I was even, before it's Clear Skin Solution, before I went to the nurse practitioner. I wasn't even dating my fiance or anything. So all of this happened in the process. We started dating in May last year and we're getting married in May. So it was a year, exactly. Just practical real life support is, if I'm just being fully honest, and I was kind of wrestling with this once we got engaged in December, trying to decide our timeline, how we wanted to do it, when we wanted to get married, all of that. And I really wanted to get married in the spring. I'm like, is that too soon? All of that. And with that, of course, and where my skin was at that point, and it's crazy how much you can improve even over a couple of months. So obviously at that point, not feeling super great, better, but not great. And just how much time, my questions, how much does my skin need? How much time do I need? And of course I'm messaging Jenna and telling her I got engaged. What do you think? And I talked to Ashley about it too. What do you think? And of course everyone's timeline's different. So obviously they can't be you're going to be better in 4 months. You know what I mean? They can't do that because we just don't know. And everybody's different. They had some ideas and thoughts based on my progress. But I really was really grateful for Jenna, because she just said straight up, I forget, I'd have to look back to see exactly what she said. But what I remember is do you want to get married in May? I'm like, I do. And she's like, essentially get married. You know what I mean? And I think there was something about that I don't know, just put me in the right mindset of I'm so grateful. And I hope this encourages somebody listening to this, that I did not postpone my wedding. That I think it would have worked against us. It is time for us to get married, and just because of an external thing. And I think too, at this point, it's just so crazy the perspective it brings. Is my skin perfect? No. Will my skin be perfect on my wedding day? Probably not. But I'm just so thankful, that at the root of my heart, what I feel is gratitude. You know what I mean? I'm just grateful that it is what it is now versus what it was. But I will say the mindset part with that was tough. But I think Jenna and just, friends and family, like it just helps. It makes what actually matters rise to the surface, and yeah, perfection is not the aim. Obviously I was at a really extreme.
You wanted the Instagram filtered, unattainable
skin. It's
yeah.
Wedding day. And even too, for me, I think it's even like less, because obviously wedding day, you're going to have full face of makeup, like all of that. For me, it was honestly more after, we're going to Hawaii. Like I just want to be free in my own skin. But oh my goodness, Chris, you're going to love this because you had a one-liner.
Oh gosh, Chris and her one-liners.
Oh, it's crazy. Like the simplest things, but man, the language, like I said, it just hit. And one of the calls that I popped on a Wednesday, you said, you write the narrative. You write it. And that really hit me. Like, it is my choice what narrative I want to write. And the reality is my narrative is I have this amazing, incredible man that walked through this journey with me who wanted to marry me right in the middle of it. Like, I mean, I was at my worst. I was not looking good. I mean, again, you guys, people can look at the pictures. It was bad. It was really bad. And yet he was thinking about proposing at that time. You know what I mean? Like, that's my narrative. Like, what an incredible story. And having worked through like these really difficult things before getting married, and just knowing that he's obviously in it for all of the right reasons. And like, so am I. So when you said that, I think even with the marriage in particular, I write the narrative. So that day comes, I can decide, could be worried about it and thinking about things. Like, granted, we're human. Of course, we're going to have struggles and thoughts. But at the end of the day, it's my choice to choose in my mind what the narrative is. Because guess what? Nobody else cares. Nobody's there for my skin. No one cares. I am probably the only one, truly the only one, that would think about it at all. Do I hope that my skin is in good conditions that day? Absolutely. But I think and again, this has been a process. So I just want to say it's been a process to get to the point of being like, you know what? It is okay. It is okay. I'm grateful. I'm healthy. I'm getting healthier and healthier. I'm healing. I'm on the path. I'm so excited to get married. And I think a big thing with that, I would encourage people just to be honest. Like, the biggest thing for me was talking to my fiance and just letting him know how I felt. Like, hey, I'm not worried about the wedding day. It's more like once we're on our honeymoon and like I want to feel like free in my own skin. And he's like, you don't have to worry about that. And just getting his affirmation, because he's the one that I ultimately care about, feeling comfortable around, and all of that. So that's what I would encourage, just to be real with those people, because they're going to be the ones that can bring you that peace and affirmation, because that's not what it's about.
I don't have any statistical data. I really don't. I never collected it. When I say time and time and time again, that mindset is like 95% of your journey. So, Fayth, here's just something I'm going to lobby out. If your mindset was not where it was, I could almost guarantee your skin wouldn't be where it is. As my professional designation, you know what I mean? I'm not spouting to say I have a magic ball or anything like that. And the pinnacle of the mindset goes beyond anybody's wildest dreams. You want that big house, you can have that big house, because again, it's that narrative as to which we tell ourselves we don't qualify for the big house versus the talk that we can say, well, I'm going to obtain it. We stop with the hows instead of asking somebody's support to say, walk me through this journey. I don't have to do it alone. This is my goal. How do I get there? And then if you have directions, you have a GPS, are you doubting that it's right? Are you doubting that it's going to put you into a circle or not get you there by the time that it shows? No, we don't. We blind faith our GPS. We don't give ourselves that same extension. So just seeing files and seeing people when they have that mindset shift and seeing the way their skin shifts very drastically is phenomenal. So kudos to you, because you do know you did this journey. Yes, we had the tools. It was you that arrived to this spot. So congratulations on that, truly from my heart.
Now, I have one final question for you, Fayth. Is there any last piece of advice, wisdom that you would like to share with anyone that was where you were a year ago or even 6 months ago?
I think the first thing that comes to mind, I've been saying this so often lately, is like health is wealth. It really is. Like your health impacts everything. You know what I mean? So I think to not think it's selfish to take the time to invest in what your body needs, because it literally affects every single area of your life, you know? And oh my goodness, just the empowerment of feeling healthy and knowing what you need. Like that's one of my first things of like, it's okay to prioritize your health, and it's not selfish, and it will serve the people around you anyways, because you're going to be a way better human. I think too, what I would say, like, because I know obviously like finances are really real. We all know that. And there's different levels of what people are able to do. I think a big thing I would say, even just listening to this podcast, if you would write down all the things that we said in this podcast that are free, do those things. You know what I mean? Like the things that we know are good for you that are free, like getting enough sleep, eating real food. I can't even over exaggerate eat real food. It will change your life. Not even a question. I am bet $1 million on it. It will change your life. But to do the things that you know, obviously, and then again, there's some, like for me, I had really deep issues, and then work from there. And I think too, even too, with this, like some of the different offerings you've put out lately, I've seen, like, I know the 6 month is a little bit more of investment, but you know what I mean? Do the boot camp, I know you guys offer now like a shorter version, you know what I mean? Like first start off with some of those basic things and see how you feel. One thing I would say too, to my story is the whole like test, don't guess. I didn't know anything until I actually got tested. So that's something I would really encourage. I know you guys are offering that as well. So that is an option. And obviously there's other ways to get tested. But if like, even if you think that something's going on, like I just think getting tested is so incredibly worth it. And then you can actually target the things that you actually have rather than guessing. I think obviously that's like the pinnacle for me. If I wouldn't have gotten tested, I wouldn't have known anything. And let's not to be dramatic, I might have struggled with this for the rest of my life if I would have never gotten tested because I just didn't know. So that'd be another thing I would just really encourage, and that it's worth it.
So powerful, Fayth. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey with us today. Absolutely. I know everyone listening has been so thankful as well. And we all wish you the best of luck at your wedding. We know you're going to be the most beautiful bride ever. And please send me photos to my DMs on Instagram because I want to see.
100%.
I love weddings. Oh my gosh. All right, everybody. This was such a wonderful episode. Thank you again, Fayth. And we will see everybody next week on the next episode of the Clear Skin Chronicles.